Hello, today for review I've got a model that personally I was waiting for quite a long time. Unfortunately I wasn't able to get it before the New Year holidays, so it took a while to be delivered, but a bit later is much better than never, and today we will talk about the iBasso hybrid flagship in-ear monitors IT07. With their hybrid series IT, iBasso proved that they can create really good designs in terms of sound. Both IT04 and other models in this lineup offered a really great price to quality ratio, so I have expected IT07 to give it too. In terms of characteristics, in terms of internal build, it's a 7-driver hybrid, as name suggests us, with single dynamic driver and 6 balanced armatures. They joined in pairs, so 3 works for the lower mids, 3 works for the upper mids and lower treble, and 2 works for lower mids, 2 for upper mids and lower treble, and 2 for the upper treble. So basically 3 pair of balanced armatures for different sonic spectrum. Price is a bit on the higher side. They cost $900. I think it's pretty expectable for such amount of Knowles balanced armatures and sound tuning efforts that put in this model. But of course it's really close to the top of the line segment, so let's have a closer look. Package is multi-layered, outer box is just black cardboard. It took some time to be delivered and it shows some signs of wearing, but still protecting the internal box. Internal box is stylish as I don't know what. It reminds the cases for expensive watch, for some jewelry and so on. It covered with Fox leather, really pleasant to touch. They have magnet hinges, so it opens semi-automatically. Inside there is a tin can with earpieces themselves. Let's pull it out. Also set of filters. They're hard to pull out, but still it's doable. And it needs to be done because otherwise it won't be able to replace them. So if I remember right, silver is transparent filter, the most transparent. Black is with a bit reduced treble and focus on the mids and bass, and gold one is with maximum focus on the bass, or vice versa. This one is for mids and lows and this one is for total bass. I don't remember the exact meaning of filters because I am using mainly the silver one because it's kind of stock tuning and I like it. Also it's a bit hard to pull out this upper part of the box, so let's do it this way. Here, as you can probably expect, leaves stock cable and a set of tips. So let's start with cable. Also some papers goes here. Warranty card with serial number and short manual with quick start guide, printed in color. Looks attractive, so kind of frequency response, not barely useful at this scale, but so at least it gives some ideas of sound and measurements. So wearing, but no technical specifications anyway. And a lot of different type of tips. That's it. I don't know why, but for tips they used the package with strongest glue ever. I tried to open them as it should be, but actually I didn't succeed, so I've ended tearing this bag apart. So I didn't open all of tips because I don't want to devastate all that bags. So stock black silicones, this gray silicones with blue stamps, 2 pair of foams, 3 pair of black silicone tips, and additional set of transparent silicone. So I don't think they make big difference because it's much more sense in using them with spin fits or some advanced tips. And also I don't want to tear apart all that bags anyway. Inside of this case there are earpieces themselves. So to get them outside we can pull this inner insert and see the earpieces. So at first sight they looks like traditional shape of in-ear monitors that is common nowadays on the market, but closer look gives us understanding that iBasso used their own molds, their own shapes. They definitely looks a bit different comparing with regular models, so it's not some kind of OEM manufacturing. And anyway, they are made of kind of, I don't know, acryl, resin, not sure about the materials, but it looks stylish with all that lines-like pattern. There are a few vent holes, so I see at least 1 or 2, so it's kind of vented design. And I must admit that they are very comfortable in everyday wearing, thanks to small size and rounded edges, so they fitting nicely into ears. They have a long extended spout, so sound isolation is even bit above average. There is a lip for holding the tips, so this filter works as a lip, so filters can be unscrewed. They are, and we even can see some internals of this in-ear monitors. And screwed back, also it works as a protective grill. And let's put on back the stock tips. Actually they giving good seal and good sound, I like them too. MM6 connectors located a bit unusual, usually they are moved more to the top of the earpiece, but here they put in the middle. Anyway, wearing comfort is pretty nice with them. If I remember right, stock cable is pure silver leads, which is really good even for this price range, because usually it's just silver plated. Here used MMCX connectors, pretty well holding with nice strong click. And yet another click, so they are color coded. Red is for right as usual. There are ear hooks but no memory wire. Cable itself looks attractive, nice. It's average in terms of softness, not super soft but not super hard. Something in between. Stainless steel splitter and chin slider. Microphonic effect is low, it's almost not getting hard when it's cold outside, and it's terminated with a 2.5mm connector, but iBasso provided also adapter for the 3.5mm. I think nowadays they should add also Pentacon adapter, but luckily there are a lot of third-party options. So, to summarize this part, in terms of presentation, accessories set, package and so on, everything is done on a really good level, but that's what we can expect in this price tier. And of course about the sound. They don't require super extended burn-in, but like 10 to 15 hours of initial burn-in will tighten their low frequencies and will make treble a bit more refined and polite. Of course, you can start listening them instantly, but you can spend some time burning in. It's a matter of your preferences. More important is to find the proper tips. For me, stock ones working really well. Also, I like them with spiral dot tips. And of course, find the proper filter. I'm using this stock silver one because I like this V-shaped signature that they provide in this tuning. Let's have a player on the table, so it will be Ultima because this model was that. And in terms of sound, it's a slightly V-shaped signature, but a bit unusual. First unusual thing is that main accent is made on the deepest and lowest layers of bass. And actually, you know, I don't know the exact crossover cut frequencies, but to me it seems that dynamic driver doesn't cover the whole bass, just lower part of the bass, and upper part of bass is already taken by the balanced armatures. I must admit that coherence here is really good, and transitions between drivers are done really nicely, so iBasso engineers did a good job providing coherence, so it's hard to tell where the crossover cut frequencies. But anyway, most impactful, most tight are the deepest layers of bass, and it gives a bit unusual effect because with electronic music, with something with synthesized low frequencies that goes really deep, they provide a really good impactful sound with great punch and tightness. But at the same time, on the acoustic instruments, on something realistic, they are a bit less impactful but more natural and more refined, thanks to the non-accenting mid bass and upper bass. It's sounding more natural in terms of size, so they don't exaggerate instruments like some models with highlighted bass do, and they don't push them forward, so they stay on place and stays perfectly in place in the mix, and it gives a really good sense of rich and universal bass because it suits both electronic music and something more, let's say, realistic. And first example is exactly electronic music. It's the Glitch Mob, not the audiophiliac record, but track with nice, good, deep hitting bass. Also, keep in mind that accent here is not big on the bass. It's not bass heavy model, definitely, and it's tuned more to be natural, and that accent on the deeper bass just building more solid foundation for the whole sound. And actually it plays this track almost perfectly thanks to the impactful, tight, deeper bass and good staging. And second example for the low frequencies, it's Didn't It Rain by Hugh, Laurie, and there is an acoustic double bass, there is engaging drums and a lot of different stuff going on in the lower frequency domain, and this model plays it beautifully, naturally, with slight accent, but just slight, because this accent just makes everything more engaging but not overdone. Mid frequencies are natural with a hint of added weight, thanks to balanced armatures used. It's definitely not the typical balanced armature seen mids, but still they have a really good resolution. They're not focused on the micro contrast, they're not trying to highlight the tiniest details, but at the same time these details present in their representation, they just not pushed forward, and that it gives organic, natural sound signature without focusing on the micro contrast or being too analytical or too nitpicking. Still, they are pretty critical for the quality of records, but not because they highlight small issues and some flaws in records, but because to unveil their full potential, you'll need something properly recorded. vocals and instruments have a great body and of course good emotions, but at the same time they're not highlighting the macro dynamics. So staying more or less natural and unbalanced, but at the same time not dull or not super monitoring, not clinical. Imaginary stage is definitely above average both in width and in depth. Maybe not the hugest one, but noticeably above average. And first example of the mid frequencies, it's kind of classics, La La Land soundtrack, Start a Fire, good pseudo live track with slow intro and then interesting transition and really dynamic, really emotional, and this model represents it nicely. Especially it's good in giving you sense of presence because there is an audience sounds and so on, and iBasso IT07 plays that nicely. And second example, if you haven't seen Walfwalkers, definitely recommend it to you. Great tune with really good soundtrack, and of course title song by Aurora is just great with unusual emotional vocal, and this earphones definitely good in delivering all that nuances and emotions in this track. And treble here is also, treble is sculpted pretty nicely. It has accent to balance the low frequencies, so it's a bit treble forward. But if you treble sensitive, there are two filters to tame the treble down if you don't like. I decided not to do that because I like the amount of treble this model provides. I like the amount of this boost because it gives additional clarity and so on. Also, they a bit reduced the treble in the 7 to 9 kHz area, the most annoying part of sound spectrum. So basically treble is present but not sounding harsh or metallic. They are really good in terms of layering, not the best of course, but still really good. Nice overtone saturation and above average extension. Also not the most extended one, but still with a good extension. So they require something with properly recorded treble here. Overall, treble is typically balanced armature, rich balanced armature with good, with really good resolution, with almost realistic attacks and decays. A bit faster still, typically for the balanced armatures, but anyway, sounding nice and realistic. A bit of armature lightweightness is present, but just a little bit. iBasso spent time taming that thing, and two balanced armatures help provide a good weight on the treble. And first example of the treble is Apocalyptica live gig. I really like it, and track named Bubbles. Good record. Not perfect, but still pretty good, especially for such a group as Apocalyptica, because they are closer to rock and metal music, and usually such genres are poorly recorded. But this live event, live in Leipzig, recorded pretty nicely, and with these earphones you will get that sense of presence, you will get that sense of audience. And second example, it's Charles Mingus and Bird Calls. Really aggressive and forward start of the track with a lot of instruments and going pretty high in the sonic spectrum, and this earphones plays it nicely and controls well to give you the sense of realistic sound of different instruments. So to summarize once again, slightly V-shaped signature, but technical and well balanced with a bit of additional weight on mids, and on the lowest part main focus is done on the deepest layers of bass. So V-shape, but a bit unusual, and because of that interesting and pleasant. In terms of pairing, they require good players, they don't require tons of power, and neither they don't require the black background, so they fairly balanced in terms of sensitivity. I don't remember the exact specs, but pretty universal in this aspect. But of course they require good control and good source, and the most obvious ones are iBasso DX200, 220, and probably DX300. I haven't tested DX300 yet, but I'm pretty sure that it will be a perfect pairing, because iBasso usually spend some time tuning their gear together, but still they also are really good with high-end players, so they have some scaling capabilities. And as for comparisons, unfortunately I don't know models in this price range to compare with. I've tested few models like Shozy Black Hole, for example, similarly priced, but absolutely different sound. And more affordable models, IT07 better. It's better than iBasso previous hybrid models, more natural, more rich, and so on. They're better than popular models in that price range like Fio's flagships, I don't know, Dunu's flagships. Maybe I will test Dunu then, for example, in some near future, but models like DK3001 Pro and others, this model is better, more natural, bit more refined, and so on. From another hand, models like Solaris and other hybrids, Solaris is a bit better with a bit more natural and engaging bass, and slightly better defined treble, but it's pretty expected taking price range into account. Maybe I forgot some models that fit this price range, so you can remind me, but actually IT07 fitting between the two big bulks of in-ear monitors that I own and I've tested. So to summarize everything, iBasso created a really interesting, good model. Price of course is really high, but they tried to deliver the maximum for this price, and they pretty much succeeded. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a nice day, of course.